Hi everyone, Sean here from the Sci-Fi Model Guy, and welcome to Chapter 2 of the Battlestar Galactica full build series from Monogram. And in this video, everyone, we're going to be talking about how we finally decided to deal with the engine situation here and how to light them up. And we're going to be discussing the lighting strategy on the model. Now, it's kind of not a lot going on with that, but there's a lot to discuss. And I want to make sure that we document everything we're doing with this model just for prosperity and just if in case anyone out there has decided to take this one on or has gotten a hold of the Mobius one, which I've been told by quite a few people and a couple people in the comments that the Mobius one is really nice, and I have seen a couple of build videos of that and it's just extraordinary, a lot better than the Monogram one, but I've looked and it's really hard to find. So it'd be nice if someone were to start manufacturing that again. Mobius, if you can hear us, we want the Galactica again. And I think that kit also has some clear parts and it's made more for lighting. But this one is not. But we're doing our best here. So it's still going to be coming pretty nice. So that's the intro for the video, for the model here, everyone. And now I just want to remind everyone here also, we are still doing the giveaway of the USS Enterprise 650 scale model. The code word is #Enterprise. Put that in the comments and you will be captured there for a chance to win a fully built USS Enterprise by me. And we'll do some live streams on it and have a lot of fun building it. #Enterprise, everyone. When we get to 1,000 subs, that's when we'll trigger that drawing. So if you haven't subscribed yet, this is me kind of dangling that carrot for you to do so. So I would really appreciate it. And if you can't subscribe or anything and you're still watching the videos, I appreciate you nonetheless. And I thank you for being here. So that is everything, everyone. The only last little comment here is I don't have any pictures to show today. I will be catching that one very soon. I'm going to be doing a Jupiter 2 update this weekend, so kind of working on 2 models right now, so kind of jumping back and forth between the videos. Hopefully that's not too distracting for everyone. But anyway, that's it for this intro, everyone. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you down the road. All right, everyone, so here we are back in the shop, and I have decided how I'm going to attack the back of the Galactica here with the engine port. So if you can see here, I will hold up to the camera that you can see that there are some lights and not lights, there are holes in here that I've cut out. So I've done that with the Dremel tool, and on this tool here is just this little grinder. There's some plastic on there that I have to get off, but this very tip, let's see if I can get it really close here. There we go. It's like a little grinder. It's got some little teeth on it. It's very hard to see. And so I'm just going to demonstrate how I'm doing this. So, of course, I do have my goggles here that I'm going to put on because these little bits of plastic will fly off. And they're hot when they come out. So not only can you get something in your eye, but you can burn it. So very important to wear the goggles. Now I'm going to put the Dremel up here to about speed 8, I think it is. Let's see here. Yeah, so it's speed 8. And I'm just going to demonstrate kind of how I do this. So I will definitely be muting the sound here for this so you can see, because it's very loud, but I've zoomed in the camera here so you can just see kind of the way I'm going about this. And with this grinder, it's it takes a lot of passes. So I'm just going to do one of these here, and I might like speed up the camera here at some point just so you can see it. And we're not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to demonstrate kind of how I go around here. And then we'll just move on to the next section after that. So, but before I turn this on, basically what I'm going to do is just make a lot of small passes with this thing, just like this, and just take out small layers at a time. It takes quite a bit of time to do each of these, but you can't untake stuff back. So it's just not only that, but you need to kind of take small strokes with this thing to give this thing enough time to cool down. And because otherwise, if you just like lay it on here and hold it, this thing's going at like 10,000 RPM, and it will melt this plastic and get it all chunky and ugly. And so it's best to really take your time, and especially for this, because it's such an old model, I can't get another one of these. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do on the back to actually light this up. So I'm going to turn this on, and we'll talk to you in a second. So you can see right here when it starts getting thick, that means you're melting it, and you could be putting a little bit too much pressure. So I'm backing off. I'm going in here and I'm brushing away the little bits and pieces, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't get too much buildup on my bit, because when the plastic gets up and it starts building up on here, it won't grind as well, and then you're just basically using heat to remove it. And so that's what you want to avoid. So you can see how long I've done this, about a minute now, and I barely made a dent. So we'll just keep going here. One other thing, also make sure when you're holding this thing on the Dremel, if you haven't done too much work with one or you're getting one, these areas here are the air exhaust. And so if you hold your Dremel like a pen, and you want to make sure not to cover your air outtake exhaust there, because it will overheat this extremely quickly. When you hold it, you'll realize it will get hot very fast. So you really have to make sure that you're not blocking the air. Okay. Okay, so I stopped the drilling here real quick because, as you can see, I'm starting to break through. And if you notice, when I was doing that, when that happens, this thing will want to run on you. So you'll break through, and then it'll want to go this way or that way, or it might even go all the way through. And I have a blanket underneath there, or a towel, and if this thing were to get on there, it would just start spurring this thing around, and it would be a lot of bad news and cleanup, and I might even ruin my Dremel. So very, very careful here. And the other thing is, you may notice I would do a little bit of a layer here, and then I'm turning the piece and going here. So I'm trying to keep the level of the depth level that I'm doing here pretty consistent as much as I can. For instance, not getting one side all the way through and then getting the other side. I don't want this thing to bend and stuff like that. So I'm just keeping it nice and simple, rotating it around, keeping the depth consistent as I go, and it's working out. And then, so I'm going to wrap this up, finish this here, and then I'll show you what I'm doing with the filing and stuff to get it cleaned up. And oh, the other real quick thing to point out is, if you notice these little circles on here, these were kind of like sprue leftover pieces. And if you're doing something like this, especially if it's a small area, you want to make sure that the part you're cutting out is as flat as you can. So I had to kind of shave off these circles were protruding out. So I used my cutter tool here and got that off, and then used a file and flattened it. So that way, when I'm running this thing around, it doesn't jump and bump all over me. So, okay, we'll continue. Okay, it's pretty much all out. And let me zoom out here. There we go, a little bit wider view. So let me bring it up here. So you can see in there, it's pretty good. A little chunky there, but if you look at these other two here, they're very nice and clean cuts. And so I have a little bit of filing to do on those. So I'll do that right here. Now, I just take this file here. I've got various files that I have. There's these little set of them, and they're just metal. And they've got a little bit of a roughness to them. So I'm just going here first and just kind of poking down, getting any of the looser pieces off that I can. And one thing I will point out is, on this side of it, it does look real chunky on this from this end, but when you look at it from the other end, it's not so bad. So just gonna continue to file here. And the other thing is, you're gonna have these bright lights coming through here. So if you do have a little chunk or two in here, it probably won't matter so much. And on this, there's a lot of detail in there anyway. So, well, okay, that's about it. And then so I've got the file here, and then I also have the sanding stick that I will use. It just helps kind of smooth it out a little bit. That file can do some rough work. Okay, and then the last piece here, I'll file this way and keep this nice and flat, because I'm going to be gluing some styrene here. So I have some just plain white styrene that I'm going to attach on the back here. I might have to paint it a little bit to diffuse it, and then we're just going to put bright LED strips, 2 of them. I'm going to put 2 of them here, and this one here, this is the little red one, so we'll paint that like a Tamiya clear red, so we'll have a nice red light coming through this edge, and that will be it, everyone. So I'm going to just continue my work here off camera and get this one dug out, this last engine, and then we'll be back on the next section of the video. We will begin laying down the lighting for that. So I'll show you just that pattern. It's going to be simple. That won't be too long of a section, and we'll just talk a little bit about how we're going to light it and show you the diagram that I came up with, and then we'll keep plugging along. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, everyone, so let's talk a little bit about lighting this thing. So before we get to that, though, I do want to point out that I've taken another look at the kit now under close inspection, and I will have to go over and touch up some of the painting on this. And I do also anticipate I'm going to have to do some putty work when I put this together and on the seam lines and everything. So I'm going to just wait on doing that final painting until I get it put together, do any putty work that might be needed. There could be some light leaks and such, because there's a lot of seam lines. There's a lot of real estate here that's being covered. We're only 2 pieces on this, so it's likely we're going to have some light leaks to deal with. So that's quite all right. So I did go ahead and put in these 2 pieces here on the side, and you might be able to see that the paint's a little bit different color, so I didn't hit these quite as hard with the paint, so I'm gonna have to go back and do that anyway. So that's quite all right. I've got enough paint, and so yeah, these little guys I glued in. So that's the only 2 pieces I've glued together. There's some side pieces on here. When they go together, you have to put them in, but that's last according to the instructions. So there's a little bit of an update on that. Now I'm going to turn this around here, and you're going to see some things going on here. And you see some tape there. What I've done here is these are sprues from the kit that I've put in here, and I'm going to be using these to kind of mount the lighting in here. And I'm kind of proud of this, what I'm doing here, because I'm trying to use as much of the model as possible, even the sprues, and I have mentioned this before in other videos that when, you're building a model, don't throw away anything, unless it's just a plastic bag or something like that. But even the sprues, hold on to everything in the box until you're done building the model, or you're getting very, very close to being done. Because number one, you can make use of some of these sprues on the inside to make mounting brackets for lights or other things, supports, all kinds of stuff. And there's also the possibility you might have missed a piece if there's a lot of small pieces on the kit. So just a little word from experience, hold on to those sprues. And in this case, I'm just kind of happy that I'm using as much of the plastic on this thing as possible. So let's talk a little bit about why. So I'm going to turn the kit on the side, and you can see here there's windows all along the side here. There's some in this little section here, right here. There's a bunch in here, and they're not just in a line, they're up and down. So we got about 1 inch worth of real estate here to light. And so the lighting, even though there's not a lot going on, we're going to need a lot of light because it's a long model, and we need to make sure that direct light comes to each of these windows. So when I was doing this, I realized I'm going to have to put quite a bit of LED strip in here to illuminate this properly. I could probably get away with minimal, but again, this is such a rare model. It's so old. I want to make sure that it gets lit properly and bright. and so I'm not sparing any LED strip here. So is it overkill? Perhaps, but I'm okay with that. Again, it's super old model. It was not cheap to buy this, and I'm okay using a few extra lights from the LED strip. I mean, after all, that you get a lot on this here. This lasts a long time, so not really. It's not really costing much on it. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about these sprues here. So I've laid them down, and this tape that I have here, that's just holding these on while the glue dries. I just use regular Testors model glue to do this. Normally I would probably use CA glue, this stuff. However, the accelerant that I have, or the kicker, I've got two kinds here. I've got this stuff that's called Instaset for all CA glues, and I've got this stuff, Mitra Pel. And I realized that it was starting to not work very well. I would spray it on, and it used to be this stuff would just make the glue hard within seconds. And then one day it just didn't, and I thought something's going on. And then I looked underneath, this stuff actually has an expiration date. So this one, I don't see it on here, but it's not working. I know I had it on there and it had expired, but it's on there somewhere. And then this one, this Mitra Pel, expired in February of this year, and at the time of this recording, it is April. So it really did expire. It doesn't. It's useless at this point. And so I just use regular model glue, and I'm just taping it on there just to hold it while it dries. So that's the meaning of the tape, but it does allow you to see this. So again, so we basically have windows on both sides, port and starboard, all along the entire length of the ship. We've got 4 little lights here, 4 little lights here. And on the bottom of the ship, the only place we have some lights are here. So I've installed sprues pieces all along here. So this section here, we're going to be putting this light here, these LED strip. This is, again, this is warm white. And when night dries and I can take it off and I get the wires on these things, I'll install them like this, facing these windows. So that's what the sprue is there for, to kind of hold this up and give me something to glue these against. And I'm also going to have to get more Instasets here, so I'll probably be going up to Hobbytown, which is about an hour away from me, or Hobby Lobby if they have any. I'll have to check. So these 2 lights will go, one here and one here. So there are 9 lights in total on each side here, just for these little windows right there. And I'll get the flashlight out, and you can see that help. Yeah, you can. Okay. So that's going to be doing here and just illuminating this little area of the ship right there. And so that's there. And so I'll put this up here so we can talk about this section here. And so for these here, because we've got a lot of distance to cover here, again, it's about 1 inch, I put the lighting on these pieces of styrene that I cut, and then put the sprues down. So we're going to have a section here. I think this is 12, 3, yeah, it's 12 lights there. And that's going to go up and down like this. And the reason I have it on here is to let the light shine vertically, or horizontally rather, parallel to the ground like this. And I didn't want to angle it up or down. I mean, I just want it going straight into the window. So I made this piece of styrene, or I cut it, and put a strip on either side of this. So I'll wire these up, and it'll just glue right here with some CA glue. When I get the Instaset stuff, I'll just put it down, I'll hold it, spray it, and then it should hold up there just fine for all eternity. We're going to do the same thing over here on this part. Now this piece of styrene is a little bit wider because I just wanted it to stick up a little bit higher than this one, and just to be more even with that. And this one should be fine there as well. I could probably just get a bigger piece. It would be fine. But this is what I did. I'm also kind of a little bit concerned about how much room I've got. So anyway, this will go here. In fact, I just noticed that I have to cut a little piece off of this guy. I have this little nub sitting up here, and that's going to affect things a little bit, I think. Let me just snip that off. Okay, so this guy's going to go here. This guy's going to go like that, and so it'll give nice illumination all the way down. And then we've got these 4 little windows here on the back of the ship. So for there, I put 2 pieces of sprue there. And I'm going to be putting a section of 3 lights just like this here, similar to what we're doing over here. Okay. And so those are just going to go right at there and shine directly in. And then let me come back to the bridge. For the bridge, I put these 2 pieces of sprue, and I've got the little piece of styrene here that I put a section of 3 lights, and that is just going to go like this right on there and just shine that light directly into the bridge. Now, this one I had to be a little careful because the lights are kind of coming outward this way. They're not parallel to the ground. They're kind of at an angle somewhat. So I needed to get the light very close to these windows. So I just opted for this little section of 3, put the 2 pieces of sprue there, and then we're just going to glue that right there. So that light's going to go directly out of this area, and it'll illuminate this part really nicely. Now, the last little bit to talk about here is the engine. So on the last segment I recorded, I showed how I took out all of these bits for the engines here. So that's all done. And then back here is what this is actually. This is I took one of those lunch meat containers. You get like sliced turkey and stuff. It's like the little rectangular shaped clear plastic things. I've got a bunch of those sitting in here that I use for various things. And so I just cut out a piece of that because it's clear. I wanted some clear styrene or clear plastic to put over here so that I could illuminate it. And that stuff was perfect. So I cut that out, painted that with a white Tamiya. It's just pearl white. And now I just got this. Now this is CA glue, super glue. The mono glue just was too thin and everything to get it on. So I needed something a little thicker. So I put that on, set it, and then this tape is here just to kind of hold that down. And then I'm going to come through again at the end, and I'm going to put more CA glue to fill these gaps. There's some gaps here and everything, and that will end up creating kind of a light leak. So if I kind of share that so you can kind of see that light really bright coming out of there. I'm going to close those gaps with some more, I'll put CA glue because, again, we can use this stuff as a gap filler. And then I also want that so it'll hold this plastic on there a little bit more securely. So we'll be putting more CA glue, hitting it with the Instaset, and then painting over that on this side white just to make sure that everything's squared away. So there's that, and then we'll put this part here where this tape is. That's going to be painted with Tamiya clear red because there's a bit of a red engine light there. And then finally is this piece of plastic here, styrene, that I've glued 2 sections of 6 LEDs. This is white light. So everything else here is warm white. And you can kind of see the difference. The warm white's like a more yellow color, and this is kind of like a lighter yellow. But this is the bright white. And I put a lot of lights here because I want these engines really bright like in the show. And so I built this thing, and then on the sprue here, I got that piece of sprue with this little flag looking thing on there, and that's going to help hold this up very straight. So I want this very bright, very close to the engines and just shining straight through out there. So that's going to look pretty cool. And it should fit just fine. It's smaller than this guy, so it's the right size. 6 lights was the way to go, and that's going to look really cool. It's going to really illuminate this really well. And so that's going to go there, and then everything's going to get wired here. And the only thing I haven't spoken about here are the landing bay pod. So for that, all we're going to do is just put some, section of 3 on each of those and get those wired through. So I'll film that in the next segment. But for this is going to wrap up this video. I know it's 2 sections. We didn't do a whole lot, but this required quite a bit of discussion here to kind of explain what's going on. So I will say goodbye here. And on the next video that we put out, all the wiring will be done, and I'll just show that real quick before we close the model up, of course, just to show you how I laid out the wire, how things are going to come through from the landing bays that we're lighting up, and here, and then ultimately down and out of the ship for the stand. So that's another thing we have to still talk about, because the pole or the stand that came with the ship is not hollow. So I have to go and get some hollow tubing. I have some brass tube stuff here that I don't know if I have any that'll fit, but let me just kind of dig around in here. Maybe I have some, but it looks like this, and this is a piece I had cut before, so it's hollow, and so I'll have to get a small enough one and get that put in here, and we'll put the wires out. So that is that for this video, everybody. It's kind of a quick one. It's just 2 sections, and not a lot of fun stuff happening yet, but we'll come back here shortly, in a few days, maybe a week, and we'll have all this lit up. So tonight, last comment here before I close out is I am going to put some CA glue down on these lights here. Now, we've talked about this before. These LED strips have a sticky backing, and they will stick down. But I don't trust these things to stick forever. So over time, things get warm, and the heat might start peeling this stuff away, and it could start fall off altogether and start rattling around the model, and we don't want that. So I'm going to get some CA glue, glue these down on both sides, and then I've got my little alligator clips here. So what I'll do is, just put these on like that, put the dabs of CA glue here on both sides of these, and then go stick them and hang these up so that they can dry properly and not stick to my towel. So, yeah. And then, obviously, this weekend here, I'm going to be going and getting some more of this Instaset stuff because, I need it. Anyway, all right, everybody. Well, that's it. Thank you so much. And remember, #Enterprise. We have a lot of feedback on that one. A lot of you have put in for that, so I really appreciate it, and I look forward to picking a winner as soon as we get to those 1,000 subs. So if you haven't clicked subscribe yet, now's the time. And good luck to y'all, and hopefully we can get this thing built soon. All right. We'll see you next week, everyone. Take care.